Tonight, WA, give yourselves a pat on the back, magic moments and milestones as Telethon makes history with the final total yet to come.
A mother's heartbreak, her son killed in a horror crash. A remarkable message to the driver.
Handshakes and hugs, the King and Queen delight royal fans as their Australian tour ramps up.
Kamala Harris leans on star power on the US election campaign trail as Donald Trump comes under fire for vulgar remarks.
Exclusive, the Treasurer promises a brighter future for struggling families.
And a long way from water, a boat makes waves on a Perth street.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Angela Tsun and Tim McMillan.
Good evening. It's the greatest show for the greatest cause, and WA's overwhelming generosity has smashed records. There's a little over 2 hours to go, but Telethon 57 has already met a magic milestone: $650 million raised since it started in 1968. And of course, in Telethon tradition, it was celebrated with a conga line.
We've seen massive donations, mammoth fundraising efforts and moments that have reminded us all why Telethon is so important.
It's my life, it's now or never.
57 magical years of Telethon, but you've never seen it kick off quite like this. On a stage full of stars, it was these 4 champions shining the brightest.
A bit nervous and excited.
The stars of 7 were told to do anything and everything to get the phones ringing.
9, 10, 15!
Oh my God!
And the donations rolling in.
We've got Ziploc bags of cash and coins. You jingle them, it's a good sound.
And they did just that.
Oh, has he got one? Oh!
Whatever we can do to raise money for the kids, we're happy to just get out there and do it.
We're here to have a good time, but we're here for a purpose, you know.
26 hours of unpredictable live TV. This year's theme, Incredible Together. And together we rode the emotional roller coaster that is Telethon. In between the humour, heartbreaking reminders of why we do it.
Heroes may not be braver than anyone else. They're just braver for longer.
Basically, it just makes stuff not boring to get out and do something.
8 months ago, he was a normal kid, and then he was diagnosed with cancer, and his family, their lives were torn upside down. So it's about him, and it's about every single kid.
Seeing Noah's face light up and have that, special moment is everything.
Lighting up the stage, the 7 News team, swapping suits for sequins. Their microphones off and dance moves on.
There are hundreds of performers here at Telethon working incredibly together to make this television marathon possible.
All those kids in hospital, they need your help, and when they get helped, then it makes them smile, and that just makes people's day.
The Prime Minister stopping by for a pop quiz.
Who was the last Australian Prime Minister from WA?
Well, I know the great John Curtin.
A wave of donations coming in with the Premier and marathon swimmer Andy Donaldson.
When you're doing it for a cause like this and for all the children of WA, it's you find a way to push through.
We thought, cost of living, these are tough times for a lot of families, but everyone's continuing to give, and that's the magic of Telethon.
Magical donations coming in too.
$10 from the Tooth Fairy.
As every cent matters.
I have saved up $50 to donate for the
isn't that amazing?
And that's from Felix.
The total is climbing. With just over 2 hours to go, can we reach the $77 million mark? That's up to you.
Well done.
Lucy Murray, 7 News.
Let's go live to Rick and Sue in the Telethon call centre now. A mammoth amount of money has been raised. What's the tally up to now?
It's nearly 62 million, Ange. Come on, we've got 16 million to go to break that record. Sue, it's incredible. Who would have thought in these tough times we'd be close to breaking that all-time record?
Absolutely. I saw it last night in the early stages. It was 6 million already, and it's just astonishing the way it's grown over the last 24 hours. But we still have a fair bit of time to go. There are loads of people in the call centre here just waiting to take your call, including just behind me, look, the WA Attorney General is taking phone calls. So if you want to have a chat to John Quigley, then ring up and give him some money and have a chat to him about anything you like.
And that all-important number, please, 1300 737 507. Come on, Western Australia. Help us break that record. It's not just breaking a record, it's helping sick kids with the research, the wonderful research that the Telethon Kids Institute takes part in. So please, help us break that record. You've got a bit of time to go. And the inducement, Rove McManus will be giving away that car too. So please come and help us any way you can.
It'll be great to see the numbers just moving up over the next 2 hours or so. We look forward to the total at the end. We thank everybody who's taken part so far and everyone who's yet to contribute. It's back to you, Tim.
We're on the home stretch. Thank you, Rick and Sue. It's been a horror weekend on WA roads with 5 people killed in 2 car crashes.
The heartbroken mother of a 22-year-old man killed in one has bravely spoken out, putting her very raw grief aside to send a message to the driver police allege was drunk and speeding.
Jaden Requata had his whole life ahead of him.
He loved his family, his mates.
The 22-year-old, one of 3 young men killed in a horror crash in Carlisle yesterday. The 2 other passengers remain in a critical condition. It's alleged the driver, 22-year-old Zach Thomas Halen, was doing 114 kilometres an hour in a 70 zone, and that he blew a preliminary breath test of 0.095. He was denied bail, but today, an incredible message from Jaden's mother.
The message I wanted to say to Zach as well is that my son isn't your burden. He's my burden.
This crash has impacted so many lives. The driver of the car was dux of his college and had been accepted to study physics. Jaden's mother wants this tragedy to serve as a warning to anyone out on the road.
There were 6 people in the car. There were 6 choices.
It's been a horror weekend. In near Gabby last night, 2 women aged 23 and 31 were killed on Indian Ocean Drive. This year's toll, now 146.
We need to seek new ways to get through to people, to get that message through that driving is a dangerous occupation.
To stop scenes like these becoming all too common. Nick Overall, 7 News.
Flag-waving, cheering crowds have turned out to greet King Charles and Queen Camilla on the start of their royal tour in Sydney. Some in the crowd had travelled from halfway across the globe for a glimpse of the monarch, who's declared he's always cherished Australia.
Sunday morning and a visit to church, but the crowds were undertaking a little worship as well. King Charles and Queen Camilla on the first event of their 6-day tour, St Thomas's Anglican Church, North Sydney. The Sunday school kids flagging the enthusiasm to come.
How was that? You just met the King.
It was so good. I loved it so much.
All right, one by one, one by one.
I loved it so much. It's so nice.
In the church where his great-grandfather laid the foundation stone 100 years ago, they prayed for Charles's health before the King signed their copy of the King James Bible, First Fleet Edition. Outside, the capacity crowds could pass their best wishes themselves.
I'm sorry there wasn't room for you in the church.
Oh, we would have definitely come.
For 30 minutes, their majesties worked their magic.
G'day, Your Majesty. Greetings from Tasmania.
It was monarchy madness. They shook hundreds of hands.
King Charles, welcome to Australia.
Where do you rate that? What do you think, meeting-wise?
10 out of 10.
That's on.
Waves of emotion, moving some to tears.
It was so thrilling. It was overwhelming, and I started to cry. And
started to cry.
The crowd stretched for a shot. Phones were high, spirits too.
We've been here since 5 o'clock this morning. Yeah.
Worth the wait then?
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't expect to feel anything much, but I did. A lot of people. I didn't actually realise I was a monarchist, but I am.
They brought gifts. One, packets of kangaroo jerky.
Do you think he's going to love eating kangaroo, or is he going to be a bit...
He had a bit of a laugh with me. He said,
That's my kangaroo, yummy.
This woman travelled 9,000 kilometres from off the South African coast.
Exactly 15 hours. So
that is a really long trip.
Absolutely.
You must really love the king and queen.
Absolutely. We love the king and we love the queen.
There were protesters held far back and far outnumbered. Some just carried away on enthusiasm. Security ever present.
This is the present for Queen Camilla.
Just before midday, their Majesties moved off. The next engagement, a visit to State Parliament to mark the 200-year anniversary of the Legislative Council. It's his 17th visit to Australia, but his first as king, saying he couldn't be happier to be back.
What a great joy it is to come to Australia for the first time as sovereign and to renew a love of this country and its people, which I have cherished for so long.
He presented Parliament with an hourglass gift to time political speeches and even hinted time may see Australian politics change too.
Democratic systems must evolve, of course, to remain fit for purpose, but they are, nevertheless, essentially sound systems.
Outside Parliament, he was back to the crowds, where several thousand had gathered for a glimpse. Next meeting, an open arms greeting for the state's Governor, Margaret Beazley, followed by the new Governor-General, Sam Mostyn. So today was a day all about church services and visiting Parliament, church and state, but it was also the first one of these. The term walkabout, now banned as inappropriate, they call them opportunities to meet the people. Their Majesties couldn't have met more. They've turbocharged the meet and greet. Casual, intimate, a royal audience for the masses. Chris Reason, 7 News.
A boat has made it back to dry land in the most bizarre way by a driver dragging it down a Perth road without a trailer. The joyride was all caught on camera. Further down the street, a second driver appeared to be doing burnouts with smoke coming from the tyres of the hooning car.
Benjamin Netanyahu has accused Hezbollah of trying to assassinate him after a drone attack on his home.
The failed attempt on his life came on a day Israel released vision said to show the slain mastermind of the October 7 attack in the lead-up to the massacre.
Deep below Gaza, a man moves his belongings, his wife and children into their new home. It's October 6, 2023, and Yahya Sinwar knows in just hours his world and the Middle East will change.
While hiding in the tunnels of Khan Yunis, Sinwar ordered the October 7th attack to begin.
The Hamas attack on Israel, moments after these pictures were taken, forcing him underground into this bunker, furnished with equipment and cash to keep him here for more than a year. The vision released by Israel along with this. They say it shows Sinwar in one of his few occasions above ground, his last moments.
This was the first and last time he encountered Israeli soldiers, and he was eliminated.
But the elimination doesn't appear to have shortened the horror of the multi-nation war. If anything, Israel's attacks on Gaza have increased. At least 20 civilians killed in refugee facilities. And to the north, Beirut is again being targeted. But it's not one-way traffic. Hezbollah rockets and drones continue across the border, one aimed at the home of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with no one injured, leaving a defiant leader.
We're going to win this war. So will something deter you? No.
In London, Joel Dry, 7 News.
The WA Liberal Party has put health at the centre of its pitch to regain government at next year's state election. They promised to overhaul the system, including using taxpayers' money to pay for people's elective surgery.
Most pundits don't give the Liberals any chance of sitting on the government benches next March. That's a view not afforded the leader.
With 139 days until the election, I believe we can and will win government.
The plan is to paint a Labor government out of touch with the community and squandering its good fortune.
The truth is, Labor is blowing the boom.
The Liberals believe Labor's Achilles heel is health. The headline of its election manifesto is $100 million to help people like Debbie McNeil, who's been waiting for gynecological elective surgery since 2019.
This has impacted me personally, my work as well, and my mental health.
The Australian Medical Association welcomes the Liberal Party funding commitment.
It remains to be seen whether the private system will have the capacity to take on extra elective surgery. Do they have enough operating theatres? Do they have enough surgeons? Do they have enough anaesthetists?
Under Labor's watch, our health system is undeniably in crisis.
And according to the Liberals, so is crime, cost of living and housing. In her wide-ranging speech, the leader also pledged to repeal the law that will allow transsexuals to change the sex on their birth certificates, a law Ms Medham describes as madness. Jeff Parry, 7 News.
Better days are ahead. That's the Treasurer's promise to families across Australia tonight struggling with the cost of living. In an exclusive interview on Spotlight, Jim Chalmers claims he's winning the inflation fight and opens up personally, revealing more about his battle with alcohol.
The cost of living crisis has battered family budgets. Groceries, petrol, electricity, all through the roof. But now Treasurer Jim Chalmers delivers the message all Australians are waiting to hear.
The worst is behind us.
Telling 7 Spotlight tonight that inflation is now coming under control and Australian families can expect the financial pressure to finally ease.
We're still very focused on the fight against inflation, but we've made really quite substantial progress. Better days are ahead.
Underlying inflation has fallen from a peak of 7.2% almost 2 years ago to 3.4% last month. Treasury predicts it will fall below 3% in December, back within the Reserve Bank's target range.
There is light at the end of the tunnel, but there's more work to do.
This is a significant change of language as Jim Chalmers and the government now shift firmly into pre-election mode, switching to a more positive, optimistic message. Jim Chalmers also revealing for the first time how close Australia came this year to falling into recession.
If I'm honest with you, Mark, there were times where we feared that the economy would go backwards.
Government spending kept it from doing that, and only just.
If you're asking me was I worried at the time, too right I was.
The Treasurer this month also marking 4 years sober, giving up alcohol after a health scare.
I was a pretty enthusiastic drinker.
Not anymore. Mark Riley, 7 News.
And you can catch Mark Riley's full interview with Jim Chalmers on 7 News Spotlight later tonight after Telethon.
All right, let's head back to RAC Arena now. That's where we find Charlotte Goodlet.
Charlotte, a few showers around today, but nothing could rain on Telethon's parade.
Good evening, Tim and Ange. It got a little bit wet, but it certainly didn't spoil a single second of our fun down here. Whether you were inside or outside, the energy was electric. It was clear for most of the morning, and then we started to see those showers roll through. So that was good news for our family festival that was being held outside RAC Arena. One of the spots we saw some of the most rain was Mandurah. We picked up about 6 millimetres there, as well as a top temperature of 20 degrees. That was also the maximum in Joondalup, and it was 24 at the airport. As for the city, 12 through to 22 degrees. It was a little windy at times. As you can see, I am in the Perth Now call centre. We just saw a fresh crop of volunteers come and sit down to take their place on the phone because we are on the home stretch. So please feel free to pick up the phone and call 1300 737 507. Tim and Ange, I will be back a little later with your full forecast.
Thanks, Charlotte. Hopefully we can make it rain in the next couple of hours. Still ahead on 7 News.
The latest on a tarmac bomb scare. Hear from the Australian passengers caught up in the ordeal.
Residents take refuge on roofs as floodwaters rise in Italy.
And the world on alert as North Korean troops are spotted training inside Russia. That's next.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want. Download now.
Air New Zealand passengers say they only found out from social media that their plane was at the centre of a bomb threat. Federal police swept the aircraft but found nothing suspicious. The source of the scare remains a tightly guarded secret.
Stuck on a plane, unaware they're at the centre of a bomb threat.
4 hours later, passengers finally reunite with loved ones. The Air New Zealand flight from Wellington landed in Sydney at 5:40 last night after staff on board raised the alarm.
Flight crew came around like mid-flight, opening up all the overhead lockers and just like closing them back up as if they were looking for something.
Kept well away from terminals, the A320 was isolated on the runway for more than an hour. 154 passengers told to wait in their seats without any details.
That was the intimidating part, just not really sure what was going on.
We were sitting out there on the runway, we didn't know what to expect until it came up all on social media.
I think it's probably good they handled it the way they did, because imagine the panic if they're like, oh, there's a bomb on board.
Disembarking row by row into the night, each traveller then individually screened.
Our bags were put on the floor and the dogs went around and sniffed.
We were just asked where we were coming from, identification, phone numbers.
New Zealand media reports a note found on board could have triggered the extensive security response. But the Australian Federal Police remain tight-lipped about the source of the threat. They did confirm that after a thorough search of the aircraft, nothing suspicious was found. Those on board left in the dark, but relieved at arrivals. Amy Clemens, 7 News.
The Kremlin's move to bolster its front line in Ukraine with North Korean troops is gathering pace tonight. New video appears to show soldiers from the Hermit State training in Russia. Pyongyang has so far sent 1,500 troops who were given Russian uniforms and fake IDs to support Moscow's war. It's feared the final figure could end up being closer to 12,000.
From the air, this is the devastation facing rescuers in Italy after catastrophic flooding. This video capturing a local being plucked to safety in Sicily with waters rising. The area has been lashed by heavy rainfall, with residents taking refuge on the roofs of their homes.
Coming up, breaking news from Telethon.
The donations are pouring in, but we've got details on a special giveaway. This is a live shot as Rove McManus makes his way to a mystery Perth suburb to give away a brand new car. We'll catch up with him next.
Plus, the sky's the limit as the world's first zero-emission plane gets ready to fly.
Donald Trump's vulgar dig at Kamala Harris 16 days out from the US election.
And coming up, medical breakthrough, how your telethon donations help solve a little girl's mystery illness. Returning to Telethon 2024 now, and anyone who donated could be about to win a brand new car. Let's go live now to Rove McManus, who is en route to meet the winner. Rove, can you tell us where you are heading?
No, I can't, because the weather is so terrible I can't quite see that there's even a road at the moment. But I am in a vehicle, and in front of me is one of the new Hyundai Konas, of which I will be giving away. What's that, Rove? You say one of? That's right, because I have more than one car to give away. Is that because no one wanted a car last year and I might need a backup to get myself home? Who knows? But I will say, anyone who has donated at all during the full telethon weekend, you are in the running to win one of these fantastic vehicles. But please just be home. Look, I can't be any clearer. The weather's terrible. We've done everything we can to make sure that you have no reason to go out. So if you are someone who has donated and has no social life, there's a very good chance I could be knocking on your door later tonight. Good luck, everybody.
Very good. Thank you, Rove. Donald Trump has made a vulgar dig at his presidential rival at a campaign event where he bizarrely spoke at length about a late golfing legend's manhood.
At her own rallies in battleground states, Kamala Harris leaned on star power, bringing out Usher and Lizzo.
I got a feeling, can y'all hear me all right?
Pop singer Lizzo lending her voice to Kamala Harris.
And I think Mrs. Commander-in-Chief has a nice ring to it.
Helping rally support in her hometown Detroit, where early voting started in the city today.
We're going to go vote today. We're going to remind people to vote. We're going to register folks to vote.
The celeb cameos kept coming. In battleground Georgia, Usher made the Democrat the star of the show.
I love you more, but I love Kamala Harris even more.
Crisscrossing must-win states while questioning her rival's mental fitness for office.
He's becoming increasingly unstable and unhinged.
We can't stand you, you're a
Vice President.
While campaigning in pivotal Pennsylvania, Donald Trump ramped up the personal attacks.
This woman is crazy.
But the former president opened his rally with a detailed story about the late legendary golfer Arnold Palmer, at one point appearing to praise his genitalia.
But when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable.
He went on to talk about the border and the economy.
The word tariff is the most beautiful word in the dictionary.
11 million Americans have already made their choice, casting their ballots early. In the United States, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
The sky's the limit for an Australian aviation business developing some of the world's first zero-emissions passenger planes. The hydrogen electric aircraft will take to the skies for the first time next year, and the orders are already flooding in.
This is Bonnie and Clyde. They may not look like it yet, but they're the future of flying.
It'll be the first time that a human-powered hydrogen electric aircraft has flown in Australia, and it'll be a real record-breaking moment for Australian aviation.
Clyde is fitted with the zero-emission fuel cell technology that uses green liquid hydrogen for electric propulsion. He's been used for all the ground trials, and next year, Bonnie will take to the sky for the first time with a pilot on board.
We're bringing to market a fuel cell that's 6 times lighter than anything else out there, and that allows us to unlock the potential of hydrogen for long-range flight.
Stralis has been developing the cutting-edge technology at Brisbane Airport and has the world watching. Nominated for a Lord Mayor's Business Award on October 25, they've got $260 million worth of planes in the pipeline. 11 different airlines have already ordered 40 of these 15-seat planes. They'll start hitting the sky within the next 3 years. But for this technology, the sky isn't the limit.
We're looking at mining vehicles, long-haul trucking, marine applications, and even portable power on the ground.
And the best bit, the only byproduct is water.
So clean that you can drink it.
Cheers to that. Samantha Heathwood, 7 News.
Still to come on 7.
A jewellery heist sends a shopping centre into lockdown. A gang of armed thugs carry out a daylight smash and grab.
Expensive funerals, the cost of dying outstripping the cost of living.
Plus, how your telethon donations help solve a medical mystery. That's next.
And coming up in sport, Eagles co-captain Oscar Allen reveals why he's excited to play alongside Liam Baker. Plus, Aussie boxing star Tim Tszyu suffers a crushing loss.
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
A gang of armed robbers remain on the run following a jewellery heist that sent a Melbourne shopping centre into lockdown. The thieves smashed up the store, causing around $10,000 worth of damage while grabbing as much as they could. An owner of the 4th-generation business chased the offenders out with a stick. Detectives say they fled in a car.
The days of big expensive funerals could be numbered, with the cost of dying outstripping the cost of living. Now families are finding new and affordable ways to say farewell.
From pubs to golf courses, families are finding different ways to celebrate the lives of those they've loved and lost.
We are seeing a general trend towards sort of personalised and unique elements. For some people that's something super quiet in the backyard or an ashes scattering ceremony at the beach.
Peter Smith has ensured last drinks are on him when the time comes. The 69-year-old prepaying his own cremation to spare his family pain and rising costs. Budget provider Bear Funerals has seen a 30% spike in bookings in the past 3 months as grief-stricken families struggle with the often unexpected expense.
I know someone who paid as much as $15,000, but that's where grief kicks in and decision-making's not sound.
Latest figures suggest the cost of burials have surged 22% since 2019 to $11,039. The cost of cremation up 27% to $8,045.
For some people, prepaying is right. For others, it's simple as arranging a set of wishes so that when the time comes, the family knows what to do.
Peter Smith says pre-planning his death means he can get on with his life.
How do you want to be remembered?
Caring dad and grandfather, that's about as good as you can get.
Jackie Quist, 7 News.
Anna's here with Sport Now, and Anna, Oscar Allen has opened up about the Eagles' new recruits.
Yeah, he has, Ange, and it's safe to say the co-captain is pretty excited to play alongside Liam Baker. I'll have the details next. Plus, Aussie boxing star Tsun suffers a crushing loss in the US and a horror start to the season for the Perth Glory. The West Coast Eagles were so busy during the trade period, even co-captain Oscar Allen has admitted he was struggling to keep up. Allen says he's looking forward to playing under new coach Andrew McQualter and alongside Tigers premiership star Liam Baker.
It's been an exciting period. I've actually just been away with my partner, so I was just making the joke before. Every time I woke up, someone had been traded or a new coach had come in, so I'm looking forward to meeting them all in the next few weeks. I've had a few chats as well with Liam Baker, so we actually played Colts football, our TAC Cup here in WA, so we played underage footy together and looking forward to get back on the park with him.
Carlton's Matt Owies and Richmond's Jack Graham were the other new additions to the nest over the silly season. The Eagles' hopes of a maiden AFLW finals appearance may appear all but over, but coach Daisy Pearce believes there's still plenty to take away from the remainder of the season.
We turn our attention to Geelong, and our aim is learn from the feedback we get today and test it out on Geelong, who are a really, really good side.
The Dockers keeping their top 4 hopes alive with their 7th straight Derby win. And North Melbourne has stamped themselves as a team to beat after thumping Essendon by 51 points. Earlier, the Cats stunned the Lions with an upset 10-point win in Geelong. The career of Aussie boxer Tsun was at a crossroad tonight after a devastating loss in the United States. He was floored 4 times in a brutal 3 rounds.
Tsun, dazed and confused.
What's going through your mind? Just happened. Like, what did I get hit with?
A US world title fight with Kostya on the team had long been the dream. But right from the start, mental scars from the Fundora bloodbath resurfaced.
And he thought he was cut again.
Normally methodical and precise.
These guys are trading leather. Oh! Down goes Tsun.
Tsun instead tried to trade power shots with undefeated champ Bakram Murtazaliev.
Oh, down goes Tsun. For the second time.
Floored 3 times and on wobbly legs, Tsun barely survived round 2. A deer in the headlights with a Russian beast intent on turning his lights out.
Oh, that's a big one.
After beating the count for the 4th time, younger brother Nikita saved Tim from himself, throwing in the towel.
It is over, the unthinkable.
The brutal beatdown scuppers plans for a Vegas mega fight against Jamel Charlo and raises serious questions about whether he belongs at the elite level. The one thing that can't be questioned is his heart.
Every time I step in the ring, I'm willing to die in here. Things didn't go to plan. The better man won tonight. No excuses right there.
Everybody can be jealous of his will and what kind of warrior he is.
Cold comfort for someone who's right back to square one. Nick Markham, 7 News.
New Perth Glory coach David Zrilich has had a nightmare first game in charge, with his side embarrassed by Macarthur FC, losing 6-1. The Glory's first goal only coming at the 73rd minute mark.
There's Taggart. And the ball is looped over and in for Perth Glory. They are finally on the boards.
Next up, the Glory face Wellington Phoenix at home. Corey Roccatrolli stole the show on day 1 of WA's Shield clash against Tasmania. The West Aussie off-spinner claiming 2 early wickets before lunch.
That's a good ball. And a catch behind has been taken. Umpire puts the finger up. Roccatrolli has rock and rolled him.
Rain interrupted the remainder of the day's play with Tassie 5 for 158 at stumps. India will arrive in Australia with this test match as a constant reminder. Chasing 107 for victory, there were some nervous moments for New Zealand before they cruised to an 8-wicket and drought-breaking victory.
So after 26 years, New Zealand win a test match in India.
It was set up by India's first innings collapse for 46. And late in the Formula One sprint in Austin...
Oh, they must have tied, surely.
That was almost the end of the race for both Leclerc and for Norris.
Lando Norris went on to finish third behind championship leader Max Verstappen, who won for the first time since June. Qualifying ended early when George Williams went into the wall, handing Norris pole from Mad Max. Oscar Piastri qualified fifth. That's all in sport, guys, and I just want to say how nice it's been to see all of our WA sporting stars coming out and supporting Telethon. It's what it's all about.
It sure
Been
is.
an all-in effort.
Absolutely.
And we're almost there.
We are. Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, Anna. Well, imagine living with a condition that's so rare it remains undiagnosed for years. That was the confronting reality for some WA children.
But for one family, thanks to your generosity, there has finally been a breakthrough giving hope to thousands.
It wouldn't be a telethon ball without the glitz and glam, politicians and personalities, and most importantly, the remarkable stories of resilience and hope, like that of little Charlotte Patterson.
Charlotte has been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, a seizure disorder, a heart defect, also has gut dysmotility, so is actually peg-fed.
She's just 10 years old, has endured 64 surgeries and relies on 16 daily medications. The root cause of her illness, a mystery.
We have just had this endless and ever-growing list of things that are wrong with Charlotte and no real idea as to what's caused any of them.
Until now. Charlotte's story was first shared at the 2020 Telethon Ball. That year, the ball raised more than $1 million. This year, they smashed records with $16.7 million. Every cent raised at Telethon funds life-changing research, which has helped discover Charlotte was living with a unique gene variant, a condition so rare it affects fewer than 10 females globally.
Having a diagnosis is just so important, because suddenly have a name. You can connect to other people with the same condition. You can have more certainty about the future.
The next step for us is to scale up our methods and make sure we can do what we did for Charlotte's for more patients in a shorter period of time.
To actually have that validation, that understanding and a community is just absolutely incredible.
And it's all thanks to your donations. Francesca Danuccio, 7 News.
Let's head back to RAC Arena now to check the weather with Charlotte.
Good evening, Tim. I am forecasting a week of fabulous weather, but perhaps more importantly, I am forecasting a lot more donations rolling in. We will be live from the Perth Now call centre right after the break. Hello again and welcome back to the Perth Now call centre. We are well and truly on the last stretch of Telethon weekend. We have so many fabulous people here who are willing to take your calls, and we would love to get them. If you're like me and you're a little bit of a procrastinator, now is the time to make your donation. If the phone lines are busy on 1300 737 507, remember you can donate online, and we would really love to get your donations rolling in. Thanks to you, WA, WA. It has been raining donations this weekend. It also has been raining a little bit weather-wise too. We did see some showers today. It was clear for most of the morning, but those showers settled in through the afternoon. We started the day off with 12 degrees. We made it to 22 and it's a little cooler this evening. Around the suburbs, Mandurah made it to a top of 20 degrees, 21 the top in Scarborough, and it was a little windy along the coast as well. 20 the top two in Baldivis, while Ellenbrook made it to a top of 24. We did see some showers through our southwest today. Most spots made it to 20. The rain hasn't hit Albany yet, but check out how warm it got in Esperance, a top of 38 degrees. We have got a cold front making its way through the southwest. That's why we saw those afternoon showers. Tomorrow we will see another one approaching, but that shouldn't cause any rain in Perth. And most of the capitals are looking at a fine start to the week. That includes Brisbane and Melbourne, both looking nice and warm. Sydney could see a possible shower, and it will be a stunning day in Adelaide with a top of 30 degrees. Back in WA, only a few showers in the south. Esperance temperature halving from today's. Further north, we do have an extreme fire danger warning for the Exmouth coast. It's going to be hot and a little bit gusty in the afternoon with a top of 34. On the waters tomorrow, southwesterlies up to 20 knots and seas decreasing from 2 metres. And what a week we have ahead. Tomorrow it will be partly cloudy, a top of 20 degrees, maybe a little morning drizzle. Similar on Tuesday. The heat is climbing on Wednesday, and then check out Thursday, a top of 29. Back to you, Tim and Ange.
Sensational. Thank you, Charlotte. That is 7 News for this Sunday. Thanks for joining us.
Now let's head back to RAC Arena for the Telethon 2024 finale. Fingers crossed for a new record. Vanessa Amorosi will welcome us back with Perfect.